Blessed afternoon, collective. What a wonderful thing it is to be. I am basking continuously in this state of increased presence. And so the transmission, the experience, the expression in this recording feels different. It will be more measured, perhaps, than my usual fare. It simply is what is. I am struck by the splendor of all that is surrounding, all that is within and without. The practice of awareness is all that is needed to re-engage with presence, which is the self, to feel the self fully. And this state is beyond description. I have attempted to capture it in words and in presentation. I have been journaling feverishly throughout the course of this day as this experience has continued. It is transcendent. It is a shift. I do expect it will vary, but this is a new place. I anticipate this. I feel this. I experience this to be a lasting shift. What that means, I don't know, other than I like this. I like this place. I intend to pull cards. I intend to pull cards for the Divine Feminine in particular. A sort of support reading in terms of what message would be most beneficial to receive at this time, what message would be most welcomed, most easily received, because that is a word that has become more valuable. Easy, ease, soft. That is the word which I awoke this morning with. It was in here. Woke up with the word soft. Just that repeated as a mantra. Soft. And it is with that word that I began my day. And then there was the image as I was awakening. There's a tendency to fall back into a dream repeatedly. And oftentimes this dream is one of having already awakened. In this dream, I was semi-awake, conscious of the physical world, and I heard a sound. And in the dream, I opened my eyes and looked at the window in the room in which I sleep, and there was a dragonfly, a green dragonfly, on the inside of the glass. And to my perception, it had made the thumping sound. And for a moment I was thinking how incredible that was, that there was a dragonfly inside my room, and then that I must get up and let it out, open the window. Then I came to, realized it was the cat. But those two things began this day. A green dragonfly and soft. There was much thinking. There has continued to be thinking. It is simply that with the thinking there is this persistent awareness. Awareness of the thought. Just that. Then perhaps awareness of the awareness. Awareness that all of the thought that could ever be thought, all of the emotion that could ever be felt, the sensation, is fuel for awareness. It's there to be aware of. And the instant awareness is brought to it, it is transformed. Presence is sustained, added to. That which once had covered up presence is now very, very clearly fuel for it. And so let there be thought, let there be emotion, let there be anything. All that is simply there. And I can continuously bring awareness to it in greater and greater degree. And so all of it just serves to keep me in presence, to fuel the fire of consciousness, to maintain and sustain this place, this space, this sense of knowing and feeling, being, and all that is. But I want to talk about the Divine Feminine. I want to talk about what's going on inside. The conflict. It doesn't need to change. It doesn't need to stop. All that is needed for peace and power to return is awareness. Bringing awareness to it. Awareness, which is, by the nature of the thing, non-judgmental. It is non-reactive. It is not analyzing. It is not characterizing. It is simply awareness. Awareness of the sensation, of the internal conflict, is enough. And if there is a thought after that, which questions if it could possibly be enough, there is more for your awareness to observe. If there is a thought that surely there must be thinking involved, surely there must be some doing, and already the phone has overheated, let that happen too. Just going to try to keep it in the shade here. But nothing is coincidence. All of this is a part of the energy. If there is overheating, witness that and let it take place. There is a shift occurring. The deck just split itself. Right here. Ooh, and it almost didn't want to go back together. All is as all should be, including this. Whatever is present is not wrong to be there. It is not a mistake. It is not an error. The mind perceives error. Consciousness knows the rightness. Where the mind sees chaos. Consciousness sees natural order, organic order, higher order. Simply bring awareness to the mind's perception of conflict, of chaos. Exactly that. Awareness. Card of the soul. Card of Virgo. Putting awareness into practice. Shining the light of it upon this. It is all that it takes. Whatever the light is shined upon becomes light. That is how it works. There is no extra step. There is nothing additional required. There is nothing that needs to be done. Certainly not unraveled, or changed, or fixed, or altered. Soft. Easy. Simply bring the awareness to it. That is what dissolves this. It is only mind that will tell you otherwise, that will tell you there must be more thinking. But the mind is not a thing that can be thought out of. The more thinking you are engaged with, the more you are thinking, there must be thinking. There must be something else. There must be something done about this. The more you are perpetuating it, the more you are identifying with the mind. Simply stop playing that game. This does not need to change. The mind does not need to change. Recognize that you are not it. You are that which is aware of it by bringing your awareness to it. That which is you, your true self, your light. That is where the balance is found. That is how this resolves. Not by removal, not by resistance, by allowance and awareness. Just that. Again and again and again. When you bring awareness to it and you recognize there's judgment. When you recognize there is judgment of the thought as it is occurring, bring awareness to that. Awareness to the judgment. When you are inhabiting this space of non-judgment, of neutrality, and you feel that there is judgment, just bring awareness to it. You do not need to root it out. You do not need to change it. You do not need to judge it. You don't need to judge the judgment, and even if you do, that's okay too. Just bring awareness to it. Just become aware of what is occurring as it is occurring. As you become aware, you become yourself. You become presence. You become the light of consciousness that is shining upon, that is holding the space for and increasing that space by your continued introduction of awareness, by your ability to continuously expand to greater and greater degree, to include even more, to include the conflict and the witness of it, to include the judgment of the conflict, to include judgment of the judgment of the conflict. There is no end to you. You get only deeper, only wider, only bigger, only more. This is fuel for yourself. This expands yourself. Simply become aware. More and more so. There is only more awareness to be had, to be felt, to be experienced. This is the only practice. Oh. What say ye, cards, universe? The intention is already out there. in the ether. Knight of Swords just flipped out briefly. Let it get through. Let it through. Page of Pentacles. Yeah. There is a bigger lesson in play. All of this is about expansion of consciousness. This is about the ascension of Earth. This is about the evolution of the species known as humanity, which happens to be that which is here to deliberately evolve consciousness into the next stage. All that is participating in this. But we have the sublime honor of being on purpose. Consciousness aware of itself. Awareness aware of itself. That which is, and which is dreaming, becoming aware of itself within the dream. And so, dreaming on purpose and being on purpose. Self-knowing itself fully as it intended to do. It's underneath that. Oh, fear. The release of this in its entirety. The realization that even the presence of fear, the feeling of fear, is not something we need to fight. It's allowed to be there. All we ever need to do is bring awareness to it. Unconditional, non-reactive, non-judgmental. Simply awareness. The fear doesn't need to change. It doesn't need to go away. It does not need to be altered. We alter. We expand. We flow around. The thinking does not need to stop. Presence simply flows around it. Let's cut. To back up the pre-shuffle, King of Cups. Simply flow around. There is no need to withhold emotion. Everything that you withhold has a hold on you. Yes. Everything we seek to control, thoughts and emotions included, as well as other people, situations. Everything we seek to control only has control over us. All we are really doing is giving away our power to feel good, our power to know our freedom, to know ourself, to know our well-being and abundance. Let loose. Release the illusion of control and discover the true power. When you are not enacting force over something, you step into your power. And more than that, you step into your pleasure. You realize you have it. You have it all. It is all now. The peace and the joy that is accessible to your consciousness in every moment is yours. Nothing can touch that. Nothing can change that. Nothing can stop that. You can always get to it, and you get to it by feeling. You just practice noticing. I am promising you that is it. That is the whole practice. That is the whole process, the whole secret. Just continuously bring awareness to what is. In your awareness, you are allowing. You are accepting. You are inviting it to be. You are the space. You become the space, which is yourself. And so you are holding space, holding yourself open for energy to flow through, to express, because you are not judging it, you are not restricting it. And because you are not restricting it, it is not a restriction to you. You are unbounded and you know it. You are unlimited and you know it. You are uninhibited, unlocked, unrestrained, and you know it directly by the feeling of it, and all it ever takes is awareness. There is surrender in awareness. I have spoken and practiced surrender. To me, awareness has become the more powerful word because it has the surrender already wrapped up in it. It is easy. It is intuitive. It is natural. There is no extra step. There is a tendency to conceptualize surrender and believe it, feel it to be an action that is taken. And this can make it tricky. It can complicate the process. For myself, in my experience, the practice of awareness, of bringing awareness to, has become powerful and transformative and transcendent. The surrender is already packaged in. It is not an extra step. It is not a step at all. It is simply becoming conscious, bringing awareness to, again and again and again. Just that. Let's pull a reading. As the flow unleashes and the sprinklers come online, you are unleashed. You are unlimited. Realize this. You realize this through your presence in the now. Here it is known. Knowing cannot happen through thinking. Your unlocking is not a concept that you can think your way to. It is an experience. It is direct, it is real, it is visceral, it is now. Your flowing is not a thing that happens in the future or the past. It is not a thing that happens through the mind. It's a thing that happens through your being. How do you be? With awareness. Open flow. The joy is overwhelming. As I left the building to come pull this reading, and I sat here for some time, observing, witnessing, being with a group of crows that was out here. And as I saw them, as I left the building, I saw 3, there ended up being 4, but I saw 3 crows, and immediately came to, in the animal deck, the 3 of Cups. Those 3 crows, 3 dark birds, blackbirds, sitting on that card. There goes one right now. Celebrating, flowing freely, holding nothing back, continuously allowing by bringing awareness again and again and again. It's underneath that. Oh, yeah. Letting all of it surface and trusting that this is the process. This is the whole process. It is a feeling journey, not a thinking journey. But that does not mean you need to obliterate thought. That's just another thought. It is more than enough to simply bring awareness to the thought. And when there is resistance, bring awareness to that. And when there is rejection of the resistance, awareness to that. Just keep practicing awareness. And when there is a thought of being tired of awareness, bring awareness to that. Just sit with, feel the emotion. This is important. when a strong emotion arises, when any emotion arises, but in particular a strong emotion, feel it in the body. It's alright if there's not a thought attached to it. Become aware that perhaps there was even a pre-verbal one, more of an impulse, and then become aware of the sensation. Become aware of its location in your body, of the nuance of it. Feel into it. Feel into it. And if there is a thought, awareness, and then return to the awareness of a feeling. Just that. In this, you are practicing the acceptance of what is, and holding open the space for that to flow freely through you. And if there is a good feeling impulse, if there is a desire to express aloud, to speak it, to write it out, which I do encourage, follow that. And do not judge it. Let it be what it is. Let it flow freely. Gosh, this is a powerful transformation. This is a long-term shift that we are enacting. A long-term, a permanent shift. One way of being has ended. A new way of being has begun. We saw that already with the world. There's that Knight of Swords and the Page of Pentacles again. This is just clarity to me. It's just focus. It is just the shifting of focus. The whole lesson here is in the shifting of focus. Yeah, and there's that Four of Pentacles again, too. Releasing the fear by releasing the hold on the fear. By releasing the identification with it and the obsession with changing it. Let that go. Simply let it be. Be aware of it and stay in that space. It need not be judged. It need not budge. You flow around. You are consciousness. You are presence. There is nothing that hinders you. You are all. All that is because of the space which you are. Space that cannot be filled, that cannot be changed, that cannot be obscured. You are ever present. You are omnipresent. Yes? Omniscient. What's on top? 10 of Wands. The burden of thinking. The burden of the mind. Why do I say that? It is the mind which generates fear. It is the only place it comes from. The mind lies. The mind generates fear. There is an obsession with fending off the fear. We don't need to fight it off. That is what the mind will say. That is more of the mind. That is more of ego, the mind-made self, that would be speaking this. Let it arise, and in your allowance of its arising, you are setting it free. You are transmuting it. Simply let it be. Simply drop the burden of worry by accepting it. Stepping again and again into the place of presence. When you become identified with it, notice. When you feel a compulsion to change something, notice. There is an opportunity here for profound transformation. It is a crossroads energy. And it is simultaneously indicative of the pushing back against, the pushing out, the unwillingness to see, the not wanting to feel the fear, the discomfort, fear-based emotion. I say fear because it is the core of negative emotion, unpleasant emotion, but shame, guilt, rage, all of these things are fear-based. It does not need to change. It is the judgment of it that feels so poorly and that keeps us trapped in this loop. Bring awareness to the judgment of it. See that you are judging that which is within you. And then notice if there is judgment of the judgment. And judgment of the judgment of the judgment. It can go on. Just keep noticing. Keep pulling yourself back every time the mind tries to suck you in. Step back. You are that which expands. You are that which contains. Just keep expanding. Hidden energy, hanged man. Yeah, there's a powerful perspective change here to take place, to come about within all of this. Your power of perspective is everything. Something I will share that has worked for me in this bringing awareness to thoughts specifically, and it was shown to me in a dream. Tilting the head. Don't ask me why. Cocking the head to the side and squinting the eyes. Exactly that, exactly as you would if you were trying to physically look at something from a different angle. You see something and you are naturally trying to understand it more. It's not quite making sense, and so you tilt your head and squint at it and try to see it differently. Engaging that body language seems to, at least for myself, trigger this expansion of perspective, this relaxing of the rigid point of view, and enabling a more flexible approach. It invites internal flexibility, the flexibility of perspective. And so use it when you are viewing that which is occurring within you. When you notice the thought, when you notice a feeling, and perhaps you have noticed that you are caught up in this feeling, just tilt the head and squint at it within yourself. Try it. See how it works for you. See if it loosens anything. Again, you're not trying to change the thought. You're just expanding to include awareness of the thought as it is happening. Just that. Final outcome position is the Queen of Pentacles, which is already the feminine energy. You already have it all, but with this you can see, you can perceive. It is one thing to believe that you have it all, to think that you have it all, to believe in concept, yeah, sure, I got it all. It is another thing entirely to know you have it all. You got it. You are in control. There is nothing holding you back or holding you down. There is nothing keeping you from joy and peace in this present moment or any. Truly, you have it all. There is the opportunity right now to learn the power of perspective, to grow, to make a shift, a permanent conscious shift in this direction, in the direction of realizing this by our perception of it. Your perception creates reality, yes. There is a difference between belief and realization, the knowing of this directly by experience in a way that cannot be shaken. Stirred, perhaps, but not shaken. Sorry, James Bond. Let's clarify. Let's clarify. Because why not? Because we are here embracing what is as it is happening in this present moment. Whew, little piece of fuzz. Loving how the decks speak to each other. The Hermit, and this light is so bright. The light of consciousness. Just let it shine. Self-spying, self-reflection. Forget the disappointment aspect. That's mind. That's ego. Become aware of that. If there is an experience of disappointment in what you are witnessing in the self, just become aware of the disappointment. Become aware. That's another thought. That's another layer. Not something I have to change, just something to bring my awareness to. Something that fuels my presence. Just that. Sit with it. Feel the emotion. Don't think. Notice the thought, and then notice the feeling, and then feel into the feeling. Breathe into it. Be with it. Put your full awareness on it internally. Once you have done this, you have automatically severed the connection between your consciousness and the mind, or the pain body, whichever it is that is expressing in this moment. And now you are no longer fueling it. You are transforming. There is a new you emerging. And it is emerging. Realize that it is emerging. Realize that everything begins now. That everything is now. There is nothing that has ever been not now. Nor is there anything that ever will be not now. All that exists now. Your entire life has been lived and will continue to be lived now. There's that page again of Pentacles. Lesson to learn that reverses this. A lesson about perspective, which is right here in this card. The disappointment is only because we are looking away from the truth, right? This whole card is a lesson in perspective in itself. That is the lesson. It's not about trying to change something. It's not even about trying to change the disappointment. It's about seeing around it. Expanding your perspective to include awareness of the disappointment, awareness of the lesson, awareness that everything is always working out for you, even if you don't see it. Just expanding awareness to include all of these things, to include your well-being, your divinity, your power. And this, and the disappointment, you don't have to remove it. But the further you expand to include more of these things, the more you are aware of, the less that piece matters. The smaller it becomes in this frame as you are expanding your perspective, right? Broadening the frame, making it wider, including more, all inclusive, not removing anything, including more. As you are including more in your awareness, that which was so bothersome to you simply shrinks into the distance. It just becomes smaller until it really no longer matters. You have severed the identification with it. You are no longer feeding it. It can be there. You realize it is allowed to be there. It is allowed to remain. It does not need to change. It has no effect upon you. It does not mean anything to you. Tell me about this 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands. In this moment, in this present moment, I am aware of a sensation within this region of the chest. That's it. Just awareness. I don't need to know anything about it. I don't need to understand it conceptually. I am in the experience of it, including it deliberately with my acknowledgement and awareness of it in this moment. That's it. There is such satisfaction in that. There is such peace in that. It is so empowering. 10 of Wands. It is so empowering to let what is be, to let it flow. It doesn't necessarily mean, in the flowing of it, that doesn't necessarily mean speaking it out, taking action on it. It means awareness. It means letting it flow. Just being in it, being with it, being present, accepting it, allowing it, deliberately, consciously. This is where the power and the pleasure is. It's on top. Queen of Wands. That's interesting. Huh. It is dropping the guard. The guard against the self. Automatically, when you are allowing everything, you are increasing your vibration and becoming more vibrationally attractive, energetically attractive. Because you are no longer pushing anything out of your experience. You are inviting all of it in. And so all of it flows easily to you. There's no fear. Let's ride with the Queen of Wands. Yeah, the soul. You are engaging all as your soul, from your soul, which is present and is free-flowing. If there is defensiveness, if there is guardedness, again, don't fight it. Just notice it. Notice it and feel into it. And notice the feeling. And if there's a thought, notice the thought and then return to the feeling. The soul will guide you. It will guide you through emotion, through feeling, deliberately. Feeling is more than emotion. It is awareness. It is being. It is difficult to describe, but it is wrapped up in the phrase, you know it when you feel it, right? Sometimes that feeling is not an identifiable emotion. It's not something you can conceptualize or pinpoint or label or define. It is just feeling. It's just a feeling. It's just a sense. That is how awareness is. It is soft. It is subtle. It is beyond thought. It is not something you really can pinpoint or identify. But when you have awareness, that was a hawk squeaking that flew right by the window here. You know the experience of awareness by feeling it, by your feeling. And it's not an emotion. If there were emotion attached to it, it would be described as peace, as empowerment, as a deep joy. It can feel like many things, but it is a feeling that is beyond emotion, even beyond our concept and understanding of emotion. It is the knowing of the self. It is the feeling, the experiencing of the self that is then experienced as joy, as pleasure, as peace. The soul will guide you in this. Just keep bringing awareness. You will notice. You will notice that you are that which is beyond thought. You are that which is beyond emotion. You are feeling something, and yet that feeling is beyond description. It is beyond conceptualization. Notice that. Awareness of your awareness is the most powerful practice. Tell me about the moon. Tell me about the moon. All of this is here to serve you. All of this is a blessing. I can say that with abundant clarity. Everything. You have the power to see how it serves you. And at the core of all of that is it serves you by fueling your presence. All that is there to be observed. You are able to observe it. You are able to bring awareness to it. That serves you. That is fueling your consciousness. There does not need to be any more to it than that. Look at that. 3 of Cups. Yeah. It's all here to assist with the flow by teaching you how to feel the flow, how to let the flow go. Flowing is not a thing that you do, right? This is why I have enjoyed discussing with my coworkers and in a previous video. You don't go with the flow, you flow with the go. But even the flowing is not an action, it's an allowing. It is the allowing of that which is there to be present, to rise, feeling into it, not fighting it, not restricting it, not holding it back, not questioning it, not judging or analyzing or explaining or conceptualizing. Being present with what is as it is, letting it flow. What's on top? Looking at this, watching it. It's just watching. Yes, there is a disappointing aspect here. There's a resistance to the fear. There's a judgment of the fear. There's a not wanting to look at this. That's clearly evident. That's okay. Look at that. Look at your not wanting to look at. Just be aware of it. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. I really don't care. It's kind of the whole point. This is the practice, bringing awareness to. If there's a feeling of not wanting to look at something, bring awareness to that. Page of Swords, why is it here? 3 of Pentacles. We are deconstructing an old pattern and building a new one. And this is the entire process. All of the deconstruction and construction takes place wrapped up in one. In your continuously bringing awareness to a thought or a feeling or experience, whatever is within and without, you are weakening the identification with mind. You are disidentifying with mind. You are breaking that connection with mind, with ego, with the pain body, whatever it is your consciousness has been fueling unconsciously. By bringing consciousness to it, that can't happen anymore. That's all it takes, bringing the light of consciousness to the place that has been unconscious, to the pattern, the routine, the thought, the emotion, whatever it is. Just bringing consciousness there, bringing awareness there. That dissolves the identification with mind, dissolves this habit of thinking, of becoming unconscious, and simultaneously it's building the muscle of presence. We are building a muscle. We are rewiring the brain to bring presence and awareness to the forefront, so that becomes the natural response. That becomes the habit. And so now the habit is formed to bring awareness to. That is your first response. That becomes your first response. Because it's your first response, you maintain awareness. You stay awake. You stay present. And then when the thinking happens and the feeling happens, it's not an interruption to it. It's fuel to it, because you don't fall into the unconsciousness. You respond immediately with presence, with awareness, with just looking. That's it. Just continuing this. That unlocks the whole flow. We are increasing the volume of presence by this practice, the volume of the soul, which speaks in this manner, speaks through feeling, and speaks in the now. If you are identified with mind and you are lost in thought, in the thought of some past or future place, it is a challenge for the soul to get through. When you become aware of that habit, become aware of any additional thoughts or feelings, emotions around that habit, You are starting to break it down. You are dissolving it. You are introducing a new way of being, a new way of thinking. You are making a different choice. By your choosing to become aware, you are making a different choice. You are putting a different pathway into practice. And every time that you do, you strengthen it. It becomes stronger. It becomes more stable. It becomes more intuitive to tap into, more natural, until it becomes your natural state. And then the thinking is just a secondary thing. You realize you never had to lose the mind, just loosen the mind. 10 of Cups. Red here with the 2 of Swords. It's underneath that. Yeah, this intuition. This is the dream. This is what we've asked for. This also is how we really tap into our manifestation abilities, our ability to dream reality into being. By loosening the identification with the mind, by continuing the practice of awareness, now we are not burdened by the mind. We are free from the prison of it, and we can use it as the tool we intended it to be. It is powerful for visualization. It is powerful for planning and the direction of intention. But when it is unruly, when we are identified with it and following it down every trail, we can't use it the way that we intended. But the way that we rein it back in, again, is not by seeking to control it, not by resisting it, by bringing the awareness, which we are. That power, that light transmutes it. We don't need to fight it, and we don't need to change it. It's there for a reason, and it is there to serve us. It is our creation. It just isn't us. What's on top? That Knight of Swords again. Clarity. A clear path forward by the willingness to look. The willingness, the devotion to continuously expanding the perspective, to see more and more clearly. When there is judgment in your perspective, that is evidence of a skewed perspective. That doesn't mean it has to change. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It means you expand the perspective. It's a limited one. It means you have thought yourself into this box, into this place, into this point of view. Release the thinking and see outside of the box. You can't think outside the box, but you can see outside of it. Let the box expand. Let your view expand to include the box and that which is outside of it as well. This is a key to unlocking something within us. Peace, power, pleasure, but also manifestation ability. We intend to manifest from the place of presence. That is alignment with our full self. What's red? With the Knight of Swords. 2 of Wands. Not this, but that. It's time to let go. It is time to let go of this old way of thinking and to embrace the way of being. Our continuous revisiting of the past, as through the mind space, is what keeps perpetuating it for us. When we stop visiting the mind space habitually, we stop perpetuating that which we have been ruminating on. If we want to stop recreating and regurgitating, the way forward is to bring presence, awareness to the thought, not try to change it, not try to think a different thought, to start noticing thought and thereby break the connection with thinking, break the habit of compulsive thinking altogether. We're not trying to think differently. We're being differently. We are not thinkers, we are beers. Thinking is a form of doing. We are not the mind. We are that which is flowing through and which is observing. But without your mind, you are your full self. Say again, you do not need to be without the mind, but without the mind in the forefront. With the mind sitting behind the consciousness, behind the self, supporting the self. There you are in your true power. There you are truly you. In your presence, in your stillness, in your quieting. This is how we create differently. By relinquishing identification with the mind, and so relinquishing the habit of compulsive thinking. And all it takes, the practice to this, is awareness. Awareness of the thought as it happens. Awareness of the judgment as it happens. Awareness of the feeling as it happens. Awareness of our ability to bring awareness into any situation, any moment. That we can transform all of it with our perspective. And that perspective does not need to be specific, just bigger, just more inclusive. There is nothing more inclusive than awareness. Why is the Hanged Man here? Five of Swords, there's my dragonfly, which I did think of this morning. And this card too. It's just that we have been focused. We've been going about it the hard way. I want to say we've been focused on the wrong thing, but that's not accurate. The focus has been on trying to change something. What the focus should be on, where the benefit and the power and the lesson is leading us, is into the expansion of the perspective. Because of our focus on thought and our desire to change, because of our perception as something as having gone wrong, we have excluded all of the magic. Fairies on this card. Our vision has been too narrow. Page of Cups. There is so much more. There is so much more that is here now. When your focus is narrowed, you perceive the flaw. When you expand your perspective, you perceive the rightness of all of it. You see the full view. You are not missing the forest for the trees. You are perceiving the forest in its glory, in its perfection. and marveling in it. You feel the full force, the full weight of it, the fullness of your power when you practice awareness and expanding consciousness and the power of your perspective. This is such a challenge to put into words. There is nothing that compares to knowing your being. Absolutely nothing. You realize everything that you were trying to change, everything you were searching for outside of yourself, everything you perceived as having gone wrong, none of it went wrong. None of it mattered. None of it matters. Everything that you could possibly want, all of the good feeling, all of the satisfaction, is right here within you, accessible by your deliberate shifting of perspective to expand awareness. That is the practice that brings the joy, the peace, and the empowerment that you are seeking. Nothing else. Not changing the situation, not finding the solution, not the career, not the partner, not the location, not the experiences. All that you seek, all of the pleasure and satisfaction comes from this, your practice of presence, your deliberate expansion of awareness. That is where rapture lies. And I do not use that word lightly. I mean it literally. That is where absolution lies. By your knowledge of it, by your experiencing of that which is absolute, which is yourself, which is your being, which is your expansiveness, your wellness, your security, your abundance. All of that is accessible through the now, right now, which is the only time that ever is. So it is always accessible, and it is reachable by your deliberate introduction of awareness to everything, to every moment, and all that is contained within it. That is your pathway to penultimate satisfaction, joy, stability. I cannot emphasize this enough. The knowing of it and its absolute truth is beyond comparison. It is beyond question. It is unshakable. And practicing yourself into this place is rooting in the presence that cannot be shaken. Building your foundation on the rock of God, as is said. However you want to put it, doesn't matter. Words are just words. Your experience of the divine eternal self, which you are, is beyond description, but you may know it, and you know it now. You may know it only now. Only through the now. Only through your practice of awareness. That is the path. That is how you know I am. By being undefined and unknown to the mind, by relinquishing the mind-based identity, relinquishing identification with the mind. And how do you do that? Awareness. Continually bringing the awareness which you are. That's how you're free from the cycle, from all cycles, from every pattern, every repetition. That's how we stop repeating. That's how we stop pushing away and start pulling in. It's all right here, right now, accessible. All that it takes is bringing your awareness to what is. Again and again and again. In so doing, you are accepting, you are inviting rather than pushing, attracting rather than pushing away. By your awareness of a cycle, of a pattern, you are removed from the pattern. You are no longer participating in it. You have severed the connection. You have brought consciousness to that which has been unconscious, which is the only way a pattern can repeat, because you weren't conscious of it. Now you are conscious by bringing your awareness to it. Sure, it might have some momentum. It might continue to play out, but you are no longer feeding it. It will play itself out. Each time you notice it again, you have noticed it. You have brought awareness to it. Just that. You need not fight it. You need not try to change it. You are doing the only thing you can do, and only thing you need to do. You're no longer feeding it. This train has been running a long time. It was only running because you weren't aware that you were continuously feeding it by the obsession with thinking, by the compulsive habit of thinking, by the identification with mind. All it takes to break that and to stop fueling the train is not stopping the train, but getting off of it. And you get off of it by bringing your awareness to your presence on the train. That's it. That's it. Every time you find yourself there again, notice. And you're off the train. It just takes noticing. That's it. Tell me about the Queen of Pentacles. A lovely, lovely final outcome energy. But it is the difference between believing you have it all and knowing you have it all. Believing in your abundance and well-being, and knowing by experience intimately in this moment. I'm not talking about someone demonstrating it to you. I'm not talking about an external demonstration of it, although that comes. It's not really where the satisfaction is found. It's just a natural byproduct of it. The satisfaction is in your knowing unconditionally, not through conditions. Conditions will appear to support that because they must, because it is law. But that's not where the satisfaction comes from. Not really. The true power is in your unconditional knowledge of well-being. The true power, the true pleasure, and the balance is found in this. Look at that. Yes, it is. Queen of Pentacles. Who balances herself. Self-stabilizing, self-fulfilling, self-sustained, self-satisfied. Requires no condition, needs nothing. Does not need anything to change. Does not need anything to be other than the way that it is. Why? Because she has the power of perspective. She knows that everything that is just a thing she can bring her awareness to. A thing she can observe. A thing she can observe specifically as beneficial to her, regardless. But she doesn't even need to add detail to it. She is aware that just in her observing, in her bringing awareness to a thing, she is expanding. She is becoming more herself. She is becoming more abundant and stable and secure. And in her allowing, in her state of allowing, she becomes more in tune with presence, more in tune with the aliveness of all that is. She begins to feel the presence surrounding and resounding. She begins to feel herself as one, as life, not separate from, connected to intimately, inextricably from all that is. And then she feels her abundance. She knows it. It is not a thing which needs to be demonstrated to her by condition. It is beyond condition. It is a reality and not a concept, and it is a reality more real to her by her knowing, her feeling, her direct experience of it than anything in all of this three-dimensional realm. It is a worth, a worthiness, a peace, and a joy that is known beyond any feeble shadow of doubt, beyond the concept of doubt, because doubt becomes merely that, a concept, a construct, a thing which need not be a part of our experience. It's just an idea. It's not real. What's on top? The moon, which the Queen of Pentacles is red with. She knows the way. She has the answer. The answer is the light of consciousness. That is all you need to light your path forward. Awareness. There never needs to be anything more than that. This shows you the entire way. It will guide you the entire way. It's red with the moon, the lovers. Look at that. Guiding you back to yourself. That's what this is. That's what this is. Reunification with yourself. Restabilizing within yourself. Reconnecting with your guidance, with the truth of your being, with your consciousness. Being the conscious awareness that you are brings you back into alignment with all that you are. Your practice of awareness is the path to this. And all of the joy and satisfaction and all of the healing that you think needs to take place, it's all in this. This takes care of it all. Again, that word awareness encompasses all of it. Feeling, surrender, acceptance, non-judgment, all of that is included in awareness. It is the pure state. There is nothing added to it. There is nothing attached. There is nothing excluded from it. All it takes to reach that place is practicing the expansion of your perspective by continuously bringing awareness to what is within and without. Then you will find and feel your awareness of well-being. You will feel your full self. You will know yourself fully. And you will know the power and the pleasure of that which is unmatched. That is the whole message. It is not necessary to pull additional cards for this. This has all been a conversation with the universe. A deep one, a profound one, full of insight and meaning. And even if it is not grasped, don't try to grasp it with the mind. Let that go. Feel it. Simply feel it. Bring awareness to whatever feeling is arising within you at this moment. Just notice that it's there. And feel into it. And do that again and again. That is your only task. Ever. That's it. That is the secret to being. And being abundantly aware of the splendor which you are. This is the whole message. I do hope I have translated and articulated it in a way that resonates. That is my intention. It is my desire. But nothing can change the joy of my being. One way or the other. It is unconditional. It is conditionless. And every single condition that exists only serves to fuel it. It is only to my benefit. It is only another thing to observe, to experience, to bring my awareness to, and therefore expand myself, my stability, increase the permanence of my presence, which is my joy, my power, and my pleasure. Known intimately and undeniably to myself in this now moment and every now moment. This is the message. I do intend that it resonates. This one is special. And certainly if you are here at this point, it has reached you. There is something here for you. Something delicious. Something that is all yours. Something that you have asked for. That you desire, you seek, and you deserve. And it is here now. Bring your awareness to it. How does it feel? What does it feel like to you? Is it beyond words? Or are there some words that come close to it, come in orbit of it, and yet still can't quite contain the fullness of what you are experiencing? Be there. Bask there. This is what awaits you. Now. And all now. So it is. This is the message. Have a beautiful, blessed evening, my collective. Be. And be thoroughly. I love you.